Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we are going to be recapping this weekend's best games from both the college and NFL weekend. Plus, we have some, I guess you could say, kind of proclaiming these games as like what was the best game or the worst game or something, stuff like that. And so that's what we got on the slate today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, comment down below. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. So, let's just jump straight into it. Saturday, college football. Not the best game, but one of the best games is number 10, Alabama hosting number 16, Vanderbilt. Number 16, Vanderbilt hosted Alabama last year, and they upset the number 1 team in the country last season. But this year's a new year, and Vanderbilt would start on top. Cedric Alexander would run the ball 65 yards after an Alabama turnover to start the scoring out 7-0 Vandy. Alabama would answer with a Ryan Williams touchdown reception from Ty Simpson. The game tied at 7-7. Then Vanderbilt would answer with another Cedric Alexander touchdown. This one, a touchdown pass from Diego Pavia. Jeremy Bernard with a touchdown reception from Ty Simpson and to tie the game up. 14-14 is the halftime score. 3 straight Alabama field goals, one from 38, and then the next 2 were from 30. And then a Jam Miller touchdown run, the final score 30-14. Alabama, the number 10 team in the country, would get their revenge versus Vanderbilt. And honestly, this team has improved so much from when we first saw Alabama. When we first saw them, they weren't able to run the ball effectively. There was just a power struggle. Ty Simpson did not look like a great quarterback, and yet they've much improved since then. Jam Miller, 22 carries, 136 yards, average 6.2 yards per carry, and a touchdown Saturday. So Alabama's gotten a lot better. And they're playing a lot better. I think defensively, the second half was most impressive, for me, because they just played so much better. And without question, that was when Alabama won the game, when they were able to stop the running game of Vanderbilt, because they were running away with this thing. Cedric Alexander averages pretty close to 20 yards per carry, and he had the long touchdown. And then you had Diego Pavia, who pretty much torched them with his legs in the first half, but wasn't able to do so in the second half. And then second half, at the end of the game, he was only able to complete 21 passes after he dropped back to throw it, after he threw it 35 times. So, that's bad, but Ty Simpson is much improved, and I think these last 2 weeks really tell us what we need to know about this Alabama team. Next couple of weeks, Missouri and Tennessee, I'm not really worried about it. I've said it in my predictions videos. DeBoer does not lose to ranked teams. He is undefeated against ranked teams. Actually, that's not true. He has 1 loss versus ranked teams, but still, yeah, if Alabama played the number 1 team in the country, if they played Ohio State right now, they'd probably find a way to beat them, because DeBoer just doesn't lose to ranked teams. And people talking about Kalen DeBoer being on the hot seat after the week 1 loss, they've recovered. They've not lost to any ranked opponent since that game, and that's why I was just like, guys, be patient. They're not Florida. They're not Virginia Tech. They're not UCLA, right? They're still a good team, and they're still up there. And so that's good for them, right? All right, second game that I'm going to discuss is Miami versus Florida State. A field goal from Florida State would be the first points of the game, followed by a C.J. Daniels touchdown reception from Carson Beck. Malachi Tony would catch a deep bomb from Carson Beck, make it 14-3. and that'd be the halftime score. Coming out of the second half, Malachi Tony, another deep touchdown pass from Carson Beck, this time 40 yards, make it 21-3. CJ Daniels catching a short screen pass, took it all the way to the house, 28-3. And then the fourth quarter hits when it's 28-3. Florida State giving some Falcons fans PTSD. I doubt that there are any Atlanta Falcons fans in Florida because there's a giant rivalry between Georgia and Florida, but maybe there is. But anyway, giving all the Miami fans that are somehow Falcons fans PTSD. McCoy, two touchdown passes from Thomas Castellanos in the fourth quarter to bring it to a 19-28 game, and then the smart decision to kick a field goal with a couple of seconds left. They weren't able to get the onside kick. Final score, Miami 28, Florida State 22. And this is just, I don't know, because, all right, if I'm being real, this was an example of what I said before, because last week I wanted to pick Florida State to win this game, but I was like, Miami's defense might honestly be one of the best in the country. Like, I know LSU kind of surprised me, but there's no way Miami's defense can surprise me like LSU does. And people were talking about, and I was listening to the radio, I heard something about, Carson Beck, his velocity's off, and there were a lot of screen passes versus Florida. I feel like every question you had about Carson Beck just got answered. It just got answered. 20 for 27, 241 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. This week last year, he was playing Georgia or something like that. He was playing Alabama. 3 interceptions. He came out in the second half and he balled out, but still bad start to the game. And Georgia just wasn't the same because of the struggles that they had. And this week was a completely different story because Carson Beck was able to throw the ball effectively. Now, the only question mark is Florida State. And I'm going to talk about this either today or tomorrow when I do the prediction episode, or when I do the rankings episode, right? Whenever that is, but it's Florida. Miami. The ground game has got to get going, right? Florida State didn't really allow Virginia to run the ball against them, but it was the ground game that really hurt. Well, I guess you could say it was both. They had an even balance where the ground game hurt them, and Florida was able to make an adjustment where we're not going to let you beat us by running the ball. And so took, I'd say, a couple of deep shots, and that's how Florida State lost this game. Defensively, it's tough, right? It's going to be really tough moving past this point defensively. And the schedule, you could say the schedule doesn't get much better. It actually does. I mean, granted, you don't play NC State, or you do play NC State, but that's at the end of the season. Florida, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Wake Forest, all teams that already have one foot in the grave. Just get past Pitt and NC State, and you have a really good resume to get into the playoff. But the loss to Virginia last week, that hurts a ton, man. That was a game that you couldn't afford to lose, and you lost it. And that was tough. That was tough on FSU. It gets even harder now because you have a team like Notre Dame, who's a 2-loss team, that's vying to get into that playoff. So that's tough. Moving on to Sunday in the NFL, Mac Jones would start. Brock Purdy would miss Thursday Night Football with a toe injury. Mac Jones would be the starting quarterback, and he would take on the Rams at SoFi Stadium on Thursday night. Start off with a Jake Tongs touchdown reception for Mac Jones. Remember, George Kittle out for multiple weeks. McCaffrey catch a touchdown pass for Mac Jones, 14-0, until Kyron Williams was just wide open, makes a touchdown reception, walks in, 14-7. Eddie Pineiro would not get a field goal with triple zeros on the clock to make it 17-7. Eddie Pineiro would kick the field goal, make it 20-7, coming out of the half. Then that's when the Rams came out and started balling. Puka Nacua, 1-yard touchdown reception for Matthew Stafford. Kyren Williams, touchdown reception for Matthew Stafford, 20-20. Eddie Pinerio will knock in a field goal. Josh McCarty also knocks in a field goal. We're going into overtime at 23-23. Rams get a stop, force a field goal. So it's 26-23, and the final play of the game was a fourth down decision when Sean McVay decided to go for it. And Kyren Williams was stopped short of the first down marker. He didn't get it, and the 49ers would win the game. Final score 26-23. And I look at the game and I say, I watch the game and I say, okay, Rams played losing football. Rams did not play to win the game. They played to lose it. Or at least in the first half, where Kyren Williams dropped a wide open pass. They had the multiple turnovers. And then the second half, they came out and it was like, okay, we can't lose this game. And they came out and they didn't lose it. And you're proud of them for not losing it in the second half. But then the question marks arise where we're talking about Sean McVay, and it's, Sean, was it the smartest decision to go for it on fourth down? And it's kind of like the 2-point conversion where it's like, where you score a touchdown and you have the opportunity to go for 2. And I believe Dan Campbell said it best. Look, we score a touchdown on this series, we're going to go for it every time, right? It doesn't matter if it takes us 4. It doesn't matter if we get 4 tries or 1 try. We are going to take every opportunity to score on this 2-point conversion. That's the Dan Campbell approach. Apparently, it's really the approach anytime you get to overtime where it's like, okay, do we go for 2 or do we, game-winning touchdown, okay. Do we go for 2 or do we kick the field goal? And whatever happens, we take the consequences with the loss. That's what happened with the Rams. They decided to go for it on fourth down instead of trying to tie the game like the Packers and the Cowboys, because everybody saw what happened on Sunday night, and they were like, okay, we're not going to have another one of those. So Sean McVay said, you know what? Let's roll the dice a little bit. Let's go for it on fourth down. They didn't get it. They're going to live with the results of that. And for the Niners, I mean, they really should have put that game away. There was an opportunity. I mean, the offense was rolling. You have... It's tough to stop arguably the best receiver in football, Puka Nacua. But still, I mean, no reason this game should have went to overtime when you're up 20-7 at halftime. Right? Or 17-7 at halftime, and you come out of the half and you get the football. You should probably, but it's the National Football League. It's way harder than a lot of people think, and it's a lot more difficult than I think. Didn't score a touchdown after the first half. And they didn't really have success running the ball either. Averaged 2.2 yards per carry, San Francisco. And so it was a match of who could throw the ball the farthest, the most, basically. Who could throw the ball the most. And the 49ers, they did. And they put together more successful drives, and they were able to win the game. All right, so the second game I wanted to talk about was honestly the best game of the season so far. I really can't think of a close second. Plus, the uniform, just time out. This is a uniform that one of the best in the NFL, right? And I look at the Falcons and the Bills, and I'm saying to myself, there's no way it's going to be as good as what the Rams and the Seahawks, or the Bucks and the Seahawks had, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be close seconds or relatable to what they have, and it's not close. It's not going to be close. But let's break this game down. Starting off, Buccaneers kick 2 field goals and then score a touchdown. So it's 13-0. Then Jackson Smith-Njigba catches a touchdown reception from Sam Darnold. Then it's 13-7. Halftime. Then Zach Charbonnet rushing touchdown. Emeka Egbuka receiving touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion as well. So 21-14, and then it's back and forth. Seahawks touchdown, Bucks touchdown. Back-to-back Seahawks touchdowns. Sterling Shepard with a touchdown. Sam Darnold interception. Buccaneers get the ball back to kick the game-winning field goal. 38-35 is the final score. So what I'm going to say right now about this is basically about what I've seen. Emeka Egbuka is the Rookie of the Year. After 4 weeks, he's the Rookie of the Year. I can't think of anyone that's remotely close to what Emeka Egbuka, any rookie that's been done what is close to what Emeka Egbuka has done. I can't think of Cam Ward. I mean, they got their first win, but Cam Ward, he's played good, but there's no real competition at the quarterback position. Jackson Dart, okay. He played really good last week, but turnovers. Cam Scatterbo played good, but turnovers. Emeka Egbuka, he went 7 for 7 this game. And there's no, Godwin has regressed. He's taken a step back this year, in my opinion. And I think we can successfully say that because Baker's new favorite target is Emeka Egbuka. Right? Just look at the stat line. 7 catches for 160 yards and a touchdown. Jeez, man. That's incredible. 7 for 7, by the way. Every time if you got thrown the ball, he caught the ball. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. And then with what Baker did, he's the MVP favorite right now. I know we're talking about Dak, right? And nothing against what Dak has done, but Baker in the last minute situations has won his team the game. This is what we talk about. If the NFL had a Clutch Player of the Year award, he would have won it. Baker would have won the Clutch Player of the Year award for the ability to get his team in, to get points in those final possession of games. In the first 5 games, and I talked about it last week, I said, your team should not be in a situation every week where you have to come back and win the game. And that says a lot about the Buccaneers defense. And it's not playoff winning football. When you play the Niners this week, I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play or not. When you play the Lions in 2 weeks, right? That's not winning football. But it doesn't matter because you have Baker who's going to come back and win the game for you. And so the only reason why I don't think the Bucs are the Super Bowl favorite is because of what I just said. They can't win, or they can't, how do I say this? The inability to get stops on defense and to just have a lead where your offense doesn't have to come back. That is the only reason why I don't have the Bucs as the best team in the NFL. But Baker is making a strong case for MVP, and I'll just leave it there. As a matter of fact, I think I picked Baker as the MVP in my predictions. So, just saying. And then you look at Sam Darnold. He played a good game too. Wasn't that bad. Ground game was somewhat sufficient. Jalen Milroe, though, I saw the Jalen Milroe fumble, and just, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. The season's not over yet. You will be okay. You will be okay. And it's not going to be your only opportunity, but just think, Sam Darnold has played well enough where this was your only opportunity so far. And he's only under contract for so long. And the same thing goes with you. Right? They basically did the Falcons thing, and Sam Darnold is looking like Sam Darnold from last year. I mean, they're basically the Vikings. Right? So anyway, getting back on topic about the game. Game of the year so far, Emeka Egbuka's Rookie of the Year, Baker's MVP, and Sam Darnold is basically playing like himself from last year. And what else do I have to say about this? Jeez. So comeback of the week. So NFL game of the week has to be the game that I just talked about in Bucks versus Seahawks. As a matter of fact, it's arguably game of the year, right? It was so great. Just hats off to both sides. Honorable mention, I do have an honorable mention for this, goes out to Eagles-Broncos. Eagles were up 17-3 in the fourth quarter, and the Broncos are able to come back. And that really should be comeback of the week, but I got another game that was just so much better. College game of the week, Florida State, Miami. And even though really I found this to be the most entertaining game from this weekend, I can't really find another game that I really liked and enjoyed and found interesting. I'd be here all day. Like I can't find the game that was that interesting to me than FSU Miami, because it started to look like a blowout and FSU started to come back. So if not, it definitely would have been Vandy, Bama. Just not really a very interesting week in college football. Overall, right, and this is overall, game of the week, definitely Miami versus Florida State. And the game was more lopsided than it looked. I do have an honorable mention for this one, which was, I actually have two. Notre Dame, Boise State, Iowa State, Cincinnati. Notre Dame, Boise State, closer than the score looks. It was way closer. That defense won them the game. And the defense was the biggest weakness for Notre Dame in the past couple of weeks. And now their biggest weakness is their offense. Think about that. All right. College comeback of the week was also Florida State, Miami. Florida State came back, made things interesting. And it really kind of worried Canes fans. Right? Is the U back? I don't know. But question mark. Are you okay? Because Thomas Castellanos gave you a little scare there at the end of the game. NFL comeback of the week. I mentioned the honorable mention, which was Eagles versus Broncos. This game, however, was just so much better, which was Titans-Cardinals. They're down 21-6 in the fourth quarter. And they come back and they win the game. And you can't blame DeMercado for the fumble. Granted, yeah, you can't fumble. And it's just like, oh my God, when are we going to learn? Just tuck it and run it in. When are we going to learn that? It happened last year with Jonathan Taylor and it costed the Colts the game. Right? It's happened multiple times before. Yet we keep dropping the ball on the 1 yard line. It's crazy to me. Just because they won the game doesn't mean Brian Callahan's job is saved. They played terrible defense in this game. But yeah, 21-6 in the fourth quarter is kind of crazy. I mean, jeez. And then the fumble, that's where really you lost the game. Because, you got the turnover. And you can stop their momentum, but you fumble the ball. You can't blame the DeMercado fumble on the 1 yard line, but I blame the interception, the guy that fumbled the interception, because that's a momentum shift. You get to pick. Momentum's back on your side. You fumble it, and they recover, and for a touchdown nonetheless, momentum is back on their side. So, plus it's been a while since we've seen an interception fumble touchdown in the same play. It was a crazy game. College upset of the week. I think we all know where I'm going with this. Honorable mention is Florida beating Texas. I saw this one coming from the early season games. I just didn't predict it because I thought Florida's just that bad and DJ Lagway's just that bad. But Arch might be worse. Arch might be worse than what Florida has put out at the quarterback position this season. He might be worse. But no, Instead, it was winless UCLA beating number 7 Penn State, and I was so shocked. A lot of people laugh because it's like, oh, James Franklin's getting fired. And I'm like, yeah, no, he's not going to get fired. But look, the only way Penn State can save the season, you beat Ohio State, you win the national championship. You cannot finish this year with 3 losses. You missed the playoff. Because, man, Penn State for years, it was a defensive battle last week. A defensive masterclass last week versus Oregon. Jim Knowles, what happened? Did injuries take over in practice? I know they didn't take over in practice. That's not true. But, man, that's tough. It's tough. Because what are you going to do? Especially defensively when you played your best. And you played well the week before. But UCLA, they saw a lot of things on tape that Penn State did wrong, and they took advantage. And by took advantage, I mean they legitimately scored 40 points compared to your 37. Like, even if they won this game and they still gave up the 42, even if they scored 45 points, you're still moving down. Because this is the worst team in the country, arguably, right now. They just fired their head coach. And now they're going to Michigan State. 8-point underdogs. That'd be sad. Michigan State loses to UCLA. That'd be pretty disappointing right there. But no. I don't think they will. NFL upset of the week. Patriots beat the Bills on the game-winning field goal. If it was Chad Ryland, it would have shanked to the right. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what to think about this game. Is it the same thing as the UCLA, which is New England saw something and they exposed the Bills? Or is it the Pats a legitimate threat? Because anybody can blow out the Panthers, but it take a real team to upset a team like the Bills. So I don't know. Patriots finished at the bottom of their division last year. They have an easier schedule than most. Toughest team that I see on this schedule is Cincinnati. Tampa Bay, not Cincinnati. Tampa Bay. There's nothing that stops this team from making the playoffs. I mean, nothing. I don't think I see anything that stops this team from making the playoffs. As long as they play good football. They're winning. They're making it. They're making the playoffs. And it came down to a field goal, I will admit, but I mean the Broncos game was close. The Broncos game was closer, and I did have the Eagles as the number one team in the NFL, but I don't know. I just didn't expect the Bills to win this game. Blowout of the week. Honorable mention in college, I have Illinois versus Purdue. Just for no reason. But Purdue scored more points, so I can't pick them, right? I'm going to have to go with Georgia versus Kentucky. The final score was 35-14, but this game was not even close to that. It's kind of like how, your team scores and then the opposite team scores, and you're kind of like, okay, this is going to be a close game. And then the other team just zoop, and they're scoring points. By the way, Georgia home win streak back up to 1 game now. So, yeah, but they blew out Kentucky. Game was a bigger blowout than it seemed. Kentucky didn't know what hit them. Yeah. And Illinois versus Purdue gets the honorable mention because Illinois kind of blew them out, but Purdue I don't know. I just feel like Georgia dominated more. And then in the NFL, blowout of the week goes to Colts versus Raiders. That game wasn't close at all. And I don't know what's wrong with Geno Smith, because in Seattle, he was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the game. He was putting up, numbers where he was arguably in the MVP conversation. Is it the weapons? Is that what it is? Because you have Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. So it can't be. I just don't know what's wrong with Geno. I don't know. I just don't get it. It's mind-boggling to me. Because the defense nothing has changed outside of the team from this year to last year. Maybe the offensive line got worse. I don't know. Like, what is the legitimate problem here? I don't understand. I don't get it. What is the problem? And then for College Player of the Week, Carson Beck, 20-27, 241 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mentioned him earlier in the game as they won the game of the week. Typically, that's what this award goes to. It goes to the player that performed the best in the game of the week. This week, it was Carson Beck, 20 for 27, 241 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, like I already mentioned twice. But Beck, like I said before, if you had any doubts about Miami and Carson Beck before this game started, every question got answered. Everything. Every question. So whether you were worried about Miami, can they move the ball? Can Carson Beck still throw the ball? Are they just going to run screen passes versus Florida State? Every question about Miami's offense got answered. The offensive line is good. The receiving core is good. Carson Beck is good. Everything. I still don't know who has the best win in the country right now. It legitimately might be Miami, and it might be because they beat South Florida. Or maybe it's because they beat Notre Dame. It definitely ain't Ohio State, because their win just got discredited. Oregon's win just got discredited. So there are a ton of teams out there with wins who were good teams at the time. I just don't know who has the best win right now. Because every time I say this team has the best win, I'm wrong. I'm going to say it. It might be Indiana this week, because they blew out Illinois, and Illinois has looked better ever since. But we're going to find out Saturday, won't we? And then for the NFL Player of the Week, I give it to Matthew Stafford. 30 for 47, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is the opposite of the college one, where it's not to the game of the week, who performed the best in the game of the week, but who performed the best overall. Honorable mentions, I've already said it, Baker Mayfield, my MVP favorite. Dak Prescott, a lot of other people's MVP favorites. But he played really well on Sunday. But Stafford, the 400 yards passing really got me. 3 touchdowns. That really got me. Okay. Today was a great episode. I always enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to tune into the next episode of The Jackson Show. And as always, bring a friend.